In this video, we're going to delete a bunch of metadata from our program. So I'm going to load up a program. I'm going to load up a program that I know has metadata. Okay, so let's see. We have a whole bunch of different types of metadata on the screen right now. We've got a string, first of all, with a string length value. We've got a number of labels down the side. We've got a comment at this line here. We've got references to the low byte of a label, the high byte of a label, the string length that's associated with the label. If we go down here, we could have more metadata. We might have a word, might have a byte, maybe another word, another byte. Okay. Maybe we have an offset. Um, okay, and we've got an address reference here. We got an address reference here. Uh, address reference here, that sort of thing. Okay, so we have all of our metadata types displayed on the screen here. Let's just go to narf again here, and I'll add a dumb comment, C-O-M-M, dumb comment. Okay, so the first type of metadata that I'm going to delete is this dumb comment. There's two ways of deleting comments. The first way is to type D-C-O-M. Done. The second way to delete a comment is if you're typing a comment and you start typing stuff and I don't like that, and you backspace all the way to the beginning, nothing happens. It's as if the comment was never touched. But if you type COMM and you type new comment, okay, that becomes the new comment. If you type COMM and a single space and then hit enter or return, then it is deleted. Then that comment's deleted. So those are all the ways of deleting comments. The next thing to do here, I'm just going to set the comment back again, COMM. Because I want to be able to keep this address kind of marked when I do this next thing here. Look at this code here, right here, at 0843 and at 085A. When I go DLBL, that deletes the labels. Now, the one at the very bottom of the screen, now it's not linked to any metadata at all, and it's neither is the one at 0843. They both just revert to the underlying data that's actually stored in memory. So now if I set this label again, you can see that this one here now recognizes that the address in the parameter matches with a label in the same bank. And we're in low RAM, so it matches a label in low RAM. Now, it's not certain that that's what you mean, but it recognizes it, so it displays it in reverse character mode. The one at the bottom is unchanged. It's not linked to any metadata. It doesn't recognize that address as belonging to a label, so it's completely unchanged. If you want to keep metadata, you gotta keep the same label. You can't delete the label. Anytime you delete a label, any metadata associated with that label is deleted. So if you actually explicitly link it to that label, then it shows up in normal character mode. If you want to change the label, just SLBL again, and we'll STRP, I guess we'll call it. And it's changed in the metadata. The way it's displayed has changed. The address has not changed. The fact that it is a label has not changed. This one down here that was to an offset from the label, it still doesn't recognize that it's attached to any metadata because it's not. So that's setting and deleting labels. Now this one here, string lengths. This only works if the string length associated with the label is greater than 0. A string length of 0 indicates that there is no string attached to that label. So if I go up to narf, watch what happens to the command or the line of code at 0841 when I go dstr. Okay, now the editor looks at this byte and tries to interpret it as a command. This corresponds to an unused 1 byte no operation command in the 65CO2 command set. So that's what's displayed. And if I execute hello at this point, it still works because down here it's still got 0E in memory. But it doesn't know that there is any, what that 0E means. It's not tied to any metadata at all. So if I then decide later on that narf no in fact is a string, I can go stri and say 07, and down here this still says 0e because it is not tied to a string length. I have to actually type L narf. Now it's 7, and if I then change this string length again, okay, then again this changes. If I had deleted the string, of course that would no longer be the case. And another way to delete the string is to set the string length stri to 0. Now it is once again viewing it as if it was just a no op there, and there is no such thing as a string length. So if you delete string, any reference to the string length disappears. Another way of overwriting code, words and bytes. Not overwriting the code per se, but let's say overwriting, getting rid of the metadata here. One way to do that is just, if we want to keep the same values in the code, we don't want to overwrite those values. We still want the bytes to be 1, 2, 3, 4 here. We can just type DWRD. Now you can see in the center column it's still 3412. It's unchanged. If we go here to byte and we want to get rid of that, but we want to keep that value 56 still there. You can see in the center column it's 56, but if we go DBYT, now it's still 56. Well, 5698, it's trying to interpret it as assembly language code. So that's how you can get rid of that sort of thing. Like I can now say INXI and it'll show that there's a word and a byte below that. The other way to get rid of word and bytes is just to overwrite them. LDX number 09. That of course changes the underlying code that's stored in memory, as you can see in the second column, INXI. That's how you do it without, you can do it without changing, or you can do it with changing the underlying code that's stored in memory, just by overwriting it or deleting it. Now for the low byte, the high byte, the string length, the only way to do it is either by deleting the label or deleting the string length for the string length one, or just by overwriting it with something like LDY number 08. Again, hello still works because that was the value that was stored there in the first place. But if I was to move narf now, if I was to insert a byte and now try executing hello, okay, it's still doing the same thing because EA turns out to not actually do anything bad, but it's you can see that these are pointing to the same values anyway, so it's still fine. Like narf is still fine after having inserted there. But if I was to insert a byte here, Okay, now the string length of narf hasn't changed. And if I exec hello, okay, now we've got all sorts of garbage happening. So that's because this down here is no longer linked to the length of narf. It's just 14 bytes, which don't include the carriage return character. So let's see, is there anything else? Yeah, that's about it. There's anytime you delete metadata, all the references to that metadata are gone. And if you replace it later, well, you have to replace your references to your metadata. So that's how to delete metadata in Metal Editor.